midst of doubt and sin. Oh, I can always see the face of Jesus, since the fullness of the light shine in. I want to do the first verse one more time. Those were dark some years, filled with gloomy fears, when my life was marred by sin. But the sunbeam played round my patch today, and the heavenly light streamed in. Oh, since the fullness of the light shine here, clearing all the midst of doubt and sin. Oh, I can always see the face of Jesus, since the fullness of the light shine in. Oh, since the fullness of the light shine in, clearing all the midst of doubt and sin. Oh, I can always see the face of Jesus, since the fullness of the light shine in. Can somebody praise the Lord? Can somebody praise the Lord? Hallelujah. Those was days of the past. Those were dark some years, filled with gloomy fear, when my life was marred by sin. But the sunbeam played round about my patch. Hallelujah. Since that heavenly light shining. Today I can attest, hallelujah, that since the fullness of the light shining, hallelujah, hallelujah, I'm rejoicing. I am rejoicing since the fullness of the light shining. The Lord bless you all.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Today the Men's Fellowship Department is in charge, and we have some specialties for the mothers in the house. And on behalf of the Men's Fellowship Department, we just want to take the time out to say a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the house. And at this time, our Men's Fellowship President will be coming, Minister Sinclair, and he will be doing this part for us. God bless him.
Bless the Lord, everybody. Can we just bless the Lord one more time? Bless the Lord Jesus. Bless God. Today is indeed a special day, a very, very special day. What day is today? All right, today is Mother's Day. I'm going to ask all the mothers to remain seated at this time, and everybody else to stand. So mothers remain seated, everybody else stand. All right. All right, you're just going to look around. I want you to look around, and after two, you're going to say, Happy Mother's Day. Look around after two. 1, 2. Happy Mother's Day. Greet a mother that you see next to you. You can extend some greetings. You may be seated. On behalf of all the brothers of Calvary Temple, I want to extend, greetings to all of our mothers, all the mothers of Calvary Temple, mothers who are just visiting today, all the mothers who are viewing online. The role that is played by a mother cannot be replaced, cannot be underestimated. What would we do without a mother? This world is a better place because of our mothers. Can we just clap our hands for our mothers? Sometimes, when fathers may be a bit difficult, mothers at times will find it to be more forgiving. They are more inclined to give in a second chance. They are more inclined to give in a second chance. And mothers you play a very important role in this church. You play a very important role in the society. And this world, is a better place because of the role and the work that you have put in. God bless you this afternoon, mothers. We have some children who will be coming. They'll be making some citations. A prayer will be said for the mothers, and a song will be done. I'm going to ask the children to come up this time, after which the brothers, we have something special for the mothers. Bless God, we have gifts for the mothers. Certainly, this is your special day. This is your special day. Are you happy to be a mother? Bless God as they come. Bless the Lord Jesus. All right, so the children will be coming up this time. First we have Janelle. We'll be having a song first.
Praise the Lord, everyone. Miracles when you move. It's such an easy thing for you to do. Your hand is moving right now. You were still showing up at the tomb of every Lazarus. Your voice is calling me out. But right now, I know you're able. And my God, come through again. You can do all things. You can do all things but fail. 'Cause you never lost a battle. No, you never lost a battle. And I know you never will. Everything's possible by the power of the Holy Ghost. A new wind is blowing right now, breaking my heart of stone, taking over like it's Jericho. And my walls are all crashing down. But right now, I know you're able. And my God, come through again. You can do all things. You can do all things but fail. 'Cause you never lost a battle. No, you never lost a battle. And I know you never will. You can do all things. You can do all things but fail. 'Cause you never lost a battle. No, you never lost a battle. And I know you never will. You never will. You can do all things. You can do all things but fail. 'Cause you never lost a battle. No, you never lost a battle. And I know you never will. Mommy, I love you for everything you do. You give me hugs and kisses, and you tickle me too. You clean up my messes and wipe my tears away. Mommy, I love you. You are special in every way. Happy Mother's Day.
You are an amazing mom, and the beautiful thing is you don't even try. You just naturally have what it takes to make a great mother. Wishing you lots of love, hugs, and kisses this Mother's Day.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. It's definitely not always the easiest job, but it is most rewarding.
A mother is your first friend, your best friend, and your forever friend.
For every meal you cooked, every lesson you taught, and every hug you gave, I owe you everything. Happy Mothers.
Happy Mother's Day. You are truly a blessing. Enjoy the day. You deserve it. Today, acknowledge you all the things you do that makes you the fantastic mom you are.
God be the glory. Next. Liquid you.
Happy Mother's Day. To all the mothers, grandmothers, and sisters, and all and every women in our lives that care for us and and love us unconditionally. Happy Mother's Day.
A mother's heart is always full, always overflowing, always generous. Thank you for your selfless love, your unconditional support, and your endless sacrifices. Happy Mother's Day.
Mother's Day blessing. Just as God gives to each rose a gentle touch of dew, and gives unto each evening sky the lovely sunset hue, so may He give to you from His enduring love great happiness and heart content and blessings from above. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Can I invite all the mothers to the altar, please?
Happy Mother's Day.
I'm going to invite all the mothers to the altar, please. Or just stand. all bow our heads, please? Can we all bow our heads, please? Most righteous and eternal Father, we give you thanks, we give you honor, and we give you praise. God, we just want to give you thanks for another day, which is also Mother's Day, God. God, I put all the mothers before you on this altar right now, God. I pray that you cover them under your mighty blood. God, I pray that you send your mercies and angels towards them, God. God, I pray that each and every one that is sick, Lord, I pray that you cover them and heal them with your mighty blood. God, I pray that you cover them under your mighty blood. Cover them like a hen covereth her chicks. God, God, as we continue this service, I pray that you continue to cover and heal, Lord. In your mighty name I pray. Amen.
All right, Luke is going to pray.
Could we all close our eyes? Lord Jesus, I pray that you could bless all the mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, because without them we wouldn't be alive. Lord, I pray that you could help us, heal us, and be the one that we always pray on. I wish for one last thing, Happy Mother's Day. Amen.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Okay.
Remain right where you are. Remain right where you are, mothers. You are looking so splendid. If you could just see yourself from, if you could just see yourself, you're really looking splendid. Bless God. At this time, where's Dr. Jermaine? Where is our mother of Calvary Temple? I'm going to invite her just to step to the front, just to go to the front. Dr. Jermaine, Brother Chris is coming to make a presentation. So we are starting with the First Lady.
Will melt away. You comes along with the strength to carry on.
is inside, and you know you can't survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. That a hero lies in you. God made you special. God made you special for that. No other who's just like you. Special. God made you special. God made you special for them. So Margaret Rice? No. Who's just like you? Special. You are.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, everybody. Could we all stand? Hallelujah. Everyone in the house, could we all stand? Thank you, Jesus. Let's just lift our hands and just give him thanks one more time. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. At this time, I'll invite Minister Dr. Germaine to come, and she'll be introducing the speaker for today. Praise God.
Come on, let's worship. That I have found. Lord, plant my feet. Lord, plant my feet. Where? On higher ground. Lord, lift me up. Lord, lift me up. And let me stand by faith on heaven. By faith on heaven's stable land. It's a higher place, that I have found. Lord, plant my feet. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. Lord, lift me up. Just let me stand. On heaven, stable land. Stable land. A higher place that I have found. Lord, plant my feet. Lord, no desire to stay without to rise.
Where doubts arise and fears dismay.
Though some may dwell,
Though some may dwell where these abound,
my prayer, my aim is higher ground. One more time, Lord, lift me up.
Lord, lift me up.
Ooh, and let me
On hand, for stable our grace.
Lord, plant my feet
My feet
on higher ground. Can we just lift our hands as we worship the Lord? I was traveling a few days ago with a coworker who has not been well. She's having a bad cough, not getting to the root of it, and I just find myself starting to cough. Just stretch your hands to me and just plead the blood of Jesus to dry up whatever wants to lurk in the throat. It will not get to the lungs, and we bind you now in the name of Jesus, and we silence every sickness, every infirmity. Ooh, Jesus. Somebody lift your hand and praise the Lord. Somebody open your mouth and give him worship in this house. It is my absolute pleasure to invite to this podium Pastor Jermaine as he comes to preach the word of God. Put your hands together and make him welcome. In Jesus' name.
Praise God. Could we just lift our hands one more time as we invite the presence of the Lord with us? Lord, lift me up. Let me stand. Lift me up, Lord, and let me stand. Echo Shata. Somebody just raise your one hands towards the heavens. Just give God thanks for this day that he has made. Give him thanks for this great day. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Lord, lift me up. Let me stand. Praise God. While you remain standing, let me, just before we do anything else, just use the opportunity to thank our Men's Fellowship President and our assistant, along with all the brothers of Calvary Temple, who has made this great sacrifice to present to our sisters, and it's not our mothers today, a Mother's Day gift. I want to let you know that it was given to you with love, and so we want you to appreciate it. The brothers has made a great sacrifice to ensure. I've sat in meetings with them, and they take long time for us to decide, and for them to decide as us to decide as a brother what would best for our mothers. And so you must know that out of these gifts that you have received today, came with great consideration, great planning and love. And so we want you to be appreciative of it. Amen? Because it did not just come to one meeting, but several meetings of us deciding what was best. Amen? And so it's with all of us. So the gifts that comes to you is from all of our brothers of this church. Put your hands together for our brothers and brothers. Thank you. From the pastor Dex, I say to you, thank you for your commitment. Thank you for making the mothers feel very special today. Then we are going to invite the mothers that are sitting and those who are sitting to stand in the house of the Lord. All those who are sitting, good to see you, Sister Maris' daughter. What's her name again? Jam. Raise your hand, Jam. Good to see you. Come out in the aisle so they can see you. Some people looking around for you. This way, this way, this way, this way. Come into the aisle so they can see our missionary daughter. She's here to bury her mother. But put your hands together for her. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Jem, for coming. And we'll be here on Saturday to celebrate the life of this wonderful giant and, praise God, of a woman who have paved the way for many of us that we could be here today. I want to draw your attention to the book of Luke, Luke 7, reading from verse 11 to verse 15. I'm going to ask you to stand, those who are sitting again, in the house of the Lord. It's a great day. My mother has passed off some years ago. But I thank God for, God has blessed me with some wonderful mothers in this church. And of course, Sister Maris would be one of them. And so today I celebrate, not with my biological mom, but I celebrate with my spiritual mothers. Many of them have encouraged me over the years. Sister Cole, Sister Jennifer Cole, she's always finding me wherever I am. She's hugging me and she is encouraging me. She's always finding me wherever I am. And Sister Cole, thank you for being the spiritual mom that you are. It felt good, it feels good just to know that somebody, every now and then, would encourage you to hold fast. St. Luke 7, verse 11 to 15, I will read as you observe. It came to pass the day after that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother. And she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her. When the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, weep not. And he came and touched the bier. And they that bare him stood still. And he said, young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up and began to speak. And he delivered unto him his mother. I want to preach on the topic, the true gift of mothers. A true Mother's Day gift. This was a gift to her. Bible said he delivered unto him. Bible said he delivered unto him his mother. Unto him his mother. Took the mother Hallelujah. What a blessing. Bow our heads. Bow our heads in the house of the Lord. Eternal God and our Father, the great I am. We thank you today for this word. We thank you for the gathering. Pray that the hearts of everyone that gathered today will be open. Thank you for our mothers, Lord. As we preach this word, I pray that lives will be touched and be transformed by this word. Touch this house today, God. Touch the hearts of mothers. Oh, God, let they understand and receive this gift with love and appreciation as we preach, especially to our mothers today, in Jesus' name. You may be seated. I want to preach especially to our mothers today that are in the house. And they're mothers indeed. They're prospective mothers that are here. And to let you know that you are one of the greatest gifts that God has given to us. We would never, none of us would be here today without a mother. And so we appreciate you and we are thankful for you all. The true Mother's Day gift. The Bible records that there are 3 funerals that Jesus attended. 3 funerals. And every funeral that Jesus attended, he break them up. Every funeral service that he attended, he break them up. He brought back the person that was dead to life. Every funeral service that Jesus attended, every burial, he brought them back to life. He brought Bible the records that he brought back 3 persons in the New Testament, that he brought back to life 3 persons in the New Testament. And if any of us here today could understand, I could say to myself, I am the 4th one, because he brought me back to life. Hallelujah. 3 persons, and I am the 4th one. Jesus brought me back to life. Praise the Lord, everybody. The first one, praise God. And so when we look at the Bible, but there are 3 people in the Bible that were dead. The Bible said that he brought back to life. And so in the midst of the moment when they were mourning, in the midst of mourning and crying, Jesus shows up. He shows up. Praise the Lord. Jesus shows up and he brought them back to life. First we read about Jairus' daughter that Jesus brought back to life. Jairus had such great faith, Sister Jennifer, that he said to Jesus, you don't need to come to my house because I'm really feeling unworthy, Sister Pottinger. But he said, Jesus, you can speak the word. And he spoke the word and he was brought back to life. Also Lazarus, who was dead for 4 days in the grave, his sister confessed that he now stinketh. Praise the Lord. But Jesus turned up on the scene and he brought back Lazarus to life. And then the third one we read about a while ago. The woman had her son that was dead. And she was about to bury her son. Sapari, you can speak to that. It's not easy for a mother to bury a child. There are some of us here today who have buried their child before. Is anybody here who have buried your child before? Put your hands up. Just put your hands up. You have buried your child before. Sister Peggy, Sister Paris, Sister. There's some of us, Sister West. Some of us have buried your child. You have buried your child before. It cannot be easy. So you could imagine this mother that had this boy that was dead. The young man had died, and the Bible said his body was being carried to the burial ground. Now they were transporting his body to the burial ground. The Bible said that he was her only son. And she was a widow. That means her husband is dead. And now she have lost her only son. So she was now, Sister Gordon, standing on her own. Praise the Lord, everybody. She was at a place of discouragement. And she was at a place of torment and, as it were, a crisis in her life. She might have lost her husband first and thought it was her only son now was the one who were going to carry on, take care of her and make sure that she was well taken care of. But the son also died. Can you imagine how she must have been heartbroken? For all hopes of the future was now shattered. Her hopes of having seen her son coming up was now shattered. She must have been broken. Have you ever been broken inside, Sister Parry? You must have known what it is to be broken, Sister Reed, to lose a child. It must have been turbulence within the heart. Praise the Lord, everybody. And she went, and the child was being transported to the cemetery for the burial. He was dead. She was left alone, the Bible said, all by herself. She was in a place of loneliness. She was in a place of sorrow. Can you imagine the dark grief for which she faced? The grief. It was a dark day, And there seems to be no consolation for her. And when we talk about Nain was a city that was on a high hill. It was on a hill. And so for her to come down to the city gate, she has to come down from a high hill. The Bible said that Jesus met her at the gates. But for her to be at the gate, she has to climb down from the hill to the bottom of the hill to the gate. But here comes the on-time God, Sister Margaret. The on-time God. He was coming, the Bible said, with a crowd behind him. As the woman was in front with a crowd behind her. And not only a crowd, but she has hired some mourners to help her to mourn. She was trying to bring herself to a place of being consoled by just mourning, Sister Parr. Praise God. But Jesus, the on-time God, she was at the point of burial, and at the gate of Nain was about 8 miles. Was about 8 miles. The burial ground was down the road from her. So she was on her way to the burial ground with mourners behind her. But the Bible said that the two crowds came together. I want you to understand where I'm going. Two crowds. There was one crowd that was in mourning. There was another crowd. There was one crowd that was, this crowd that was in mourning was also in darkness. Because all this crowd could see was death. But there was a crowd that met a crowd with darkness. And this crowd came in with life. And so there was a crowd of death, but there was also a crowd that speak life. So while the dead crowd was traveling to one end, there was a crowd with the life giver leading the way, and there was a crowd behind him. And so when death meet up with life, there has to be a transformation. Not only that, but there was a crowd with a son that was dead. And there was a crowd with a son that was alive. I come to preach to somebody. Hallelujah. So there's a crowd with a dead. And there is a crowd that was alive. And there is a crowd with a son. And another crowd with a son that was alive. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. The Bible said they meet together. But Jesus, the life giver, when she came to the place of this woman who had been grieving for the loss of her only child, can I stop to tell somebody that she lost her child and the child was about to be buried? The only source that she have now, the child that she was looking to is dead. She's now a widow. Her husband is dead. What she was now, hope was shattered. Her future was all shattered. Praise God. And if anything, she have two choices. One, she might have to beg after this. Or the next choice, she have to prostitute her body to get something. So could you understand our life was in pieces, Sister Parry? But, oh my God. But first, before Jesus came on the scene, she has to climb down her hill to meet Jesus. Sometimes we can be too high. Praise the Lord before. And so many of us who are too high have got to come down if we're gonna meet Jesus. I said some of us are too high. And if you want to have a relationship with Jesus, if you want to meet Jesus, you've got to come down your hill that you're on. She came down, and at the bottom of the hill, at the bottom of the hill when things was tough, at the bottom of the hill, Sister Pottinger, when she was discouraged, I come to preach to somebody. Not all of us here met Jesus at church. Some of us met him at our home. Some of us met Jesus at our workplace. Not all of us met Jesus when we were on the mountain. But most of us met him when we were hopeless. Most of us met Jesus when our heart was broken into. Most of us met Jesus when life was almost over. But at the end of the life was almost over, there was a crowd that came to us with life. Jesus said, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And so she thought it was over. She came to a place where she was going to either now sell her body or she was going to beg. I preach to every children in this house. You better treat your mother good so that your days can be longing over you. Every child that don't treat his mother good, I submit to you that your days are short. Hallelujah. The Bible said that if you honor your mother and your father, your day shall be longing. Now I look up, brother, this word longing, it does not mean numerically. It does not mean you're going to live for long, because there are some wicked people that still living. So it doesn't mean that you're going to live for long. It means that the blessings of the Lord will follow you. If you treat your mother right, the blessings of the Lord will follow you. And so those who treat your mama bad and your mother bad, I'm sorry for you. But I beg of somebody today to understand that if you want to live long, treat your mother good. Let me stop to tell you, it was a sin for a child to put his mother into a nursing home. I feel I preached to somebody. It was a sin for a child, for a child to put his parents into a nursing home. If you put them in a nursing home in those days, it was not right with God. And it's still, if it wasn't right then, Sister Parry, it is not right now. I preach to somebody, love your mother, honor your mother and your father. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, because this is right. I feel like preaching. Can I preach to two more persons? Ako shata. Hallelujah. Somebody need to understand that this woman was broken. She lost her only child. She felt the pain in her heart. It's like a car was sitting down in her chest. She felt such pain and agony, and she feel like giving up. But every time that we came to a point, mothers, when you feel discouraged because of how you have been treated by your children, I want to let you know that we serve a God. Jesus looked at the woman and she said to the woman, stop crying. She said, not stop crying, but don't weep. Now, I read this and I began to ponder, what was Jesus really saying? Oh, could you, Jesus? Oh, could Jesus? Saying to a mother who was grieving, weep not. How could Jesus look at a mother that was grieving and pain and said to the mother, weep not? But I've looked up the word, Sister Walsh, and it does not simply just in the original Hebrew, the word weep not mean don't weep. What Jesus was really saying to her, and so the word, and so weep not and don't weep is two different words, because she was weeping, but Jesus said don't weep. And the reason why Jesus said weep not, what Jesus was saying, I am here now. Oh, glory to God. I am here now, because weeping may endure for a night, but I come to preach to our mothers. Joy comes in the morning. When Jesus turned up, she said, weep not. But when I look at the word, it said, don't weep. So Jesus was saying, Sister Gail, I am now on the scene. You have no need to be weeping, because the giver of life is here. But that which was dead is about to give life. When the life giver turn up, you can dry your eyes, wipe your tears, and give God praises. Because if Jesus said to you, don't weep, I come to preach to you, stop weeping. Hallelujah. Jesus said, I'm here now. Touch the mothers, touch the mothers and said, he's here now. Somebody touch a mother and said, he's here now. Because if anybody have some sleepless nights, are mothers. You know, sometimes let me just stop to say this. Sometimes there's some husbands who have their wives and they are not working. And the wife is at home and they feel so big like a giant that they are the breadwinner bringing in. But I want to let you know, I've been at home a few times in the day. And I try to help out my wife. But even when my wife comes home, the work is not over. Housework has never finished. The real mother has never finished her housework. So although your wife is at home, not working, I submit to you that she's doing a great job at home, working at home. Praise the Lord, everybody. And so for she to tolerate the children and in turn tolerate you and I, it's not always easy. So when she is tired, she's real tired, although some of them too tired. I preach to somebody. Hallelujah. Somebody shout hallelujah. Let me hear the church shout hallelujah. And so mothers, we're calling upon you today on the behalf of the brothers, of the brotherhood. Please don't get too tired for us. Can I preach to somebody? Because we need you. Because if you don't survive, it's going to be a problem at home. But mothers, I want to let you know today, don't cry. Stop crying. Jesus is on the scene. He come that you might have grace to angle the situation. And there are so many situations happening. Families are pulling apart. Mothers are packing their bags and are running. Husbands are packing their bags and they're running. But Calvary Temple, I come to preach to you today. Don't give up, mothers. Jesus said to you, I am here now. I am here now. I come to give you a Mother's Day gift that you have never experienced before. Jesus said, I've come that you will have a Mother's Day gift that you have never received before. I'm going to give you back your life. When Jesus raised the young man, what Jesus was simple doing, because this woman lost courage. She lost her life. But Jesus was saying to her, I'm going to give you back your life. Squeeze your mother, your friend, the friend of your mother. Come on, squeeze your mother who is a friend hands and tell them, Jesus is going to give you back your life. Come on, motherhood, get together, motherhood, and encourage each other. Tell your friend beside you, if she's a mother, that God, Jesus is going to give you back your life. Bible said, and many, they were on their way to the cemetery. And many of us met Jesus when we were down, not when we were on an high. We met Jesus when we were down. Praise the Lord, everybody. I stopped by to tell somebody this morning, you have to come down to meet Jesus. Because not all of us were good. Not all of us were so blessed to meet Jesus at church. Some of us, it was when we were at the dance hall. It's when we were taking our last liquor. It's when we were taking our last draw that Jesus spoke to us. It's when we were taking our last draw to death Some of us were about to take our last drink to death. Some of us were about to go to our last dance. Can I preach? Some of us was about to visit our lost man, our lost girl. Some of us was about to destroy somebody's life. But right on the spot, we met Jesus. When we were at the bottom, Jesus come and he said, I'll give you life. Today we can rejoice because of the goodness of God. Matters, you have a right to celebrate the goodness of God. Matters, I say to you, God said, I've come to give you this gift, that you might rejoice in the Lord of your salvation. Lift your hands and give God thanks. The Bible said, Jesus had compassion on her for the sorrow that the mother faced, and told her not to cry. Simple mean, Jesus said, don't cry. It's not easy not to cry when you're in distress. Somebody touch you and hug you and said, it's going to be all right. Don't cry. That's not much consolation when you lost a son. That's not much consolation when you are in grief. Oh, that you were sorrowful in grief. Mothers are crying without losing a child. Mothers are crying for all different type of problem with a child. Could you imagine this mother? She lost her only child. She was now exposed to everything. But Jesus, the Bible said that he came, that which was dead. When Jesus said, young man, I call you up, young man, arise. The Bible said he arose. Praise the Lord, everybody. And he that was dead sat up. I come to preach to somebody. I don't matter how dead the situation are. Oh, turn. He was in the casket. And that casket those days was as a wicker basket. So he was in a wicker basket on his way to the cemetery. Oh my God, 10 miles down the road. But Jesus came just in time. I come to preach to somebody. He's an on-time God. May not come when you want him, but he'll be there on time with all the distress and the problem. Come to church and lift your hands, because Jesus came to tell you, you don't need to weep, because I am here now. Can I preach to two person? Jesus said, I am here now. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. You might have wept all night, but morning has come. Bump your neighbor and tell your neighbor, morning has come. We're going to rejoice in the blessings of the Lord. We're not going to rejoice in the morning. Clap your hand and say, I'm rejoicing in the morning. I am the fourth one. He raised Jairus' daughter. He raised Lazarus from the dead. He raised this young man from me. I, Brother Sinclair, was dead. Is anybody here that was there? When Jesus came on the scene, Sister Parry, everybody wrote you off. Everybody tell you you are a misfit. Can I preach to somebody? Everybody tell you you are not going to make it. I was dead. But when Jesus met me, Akoshada, on my way when they were writing my eulogy, when everybody was present to see me off, Jesus came by and he told me to arise. From the day I'm up, I'm rejoicing in a full and free salvation because I've been risen from the dead. If you have been risen from the dead, stand and lift your hand. Say, thanks God for life. Lift your hand and say, thank you God for life. I was dead. I was at the point of being buried. I was at the point that my eulogy was about to be read. But thank God, well, when the fullness of the light shining, I can always see the face of Jesus. When the fullness of the light shining, I can now see the face of Jesus. I can sing, Sister Parry. I can sing, Sister Walters. He raised me up to stand on mountains. Can I preach to two persons? I can sing. He raised me up from all the troubled sea. Can I sing to two persons? He raised me up so I can stand on mountains. And I preach to my brothers too. I preach to my sisters. I preach to the mothers. While he raised you up, I encourage you to stand. Stand in the face of encouragement. Stand in the face of distress. Stand in the face of trouble. Stand in the face of trials. Lift your hands. Mothers, lift your hand. Stand. Stand against the wiles of the devil. If anybody becomes so discouraged, it's you mothers. But I speak to every spirit of discouragement. Some of you are discouraged by the way you have been treated by your sons and your daughters. And if there's anybody here that don't help your mother, your days will be short. In the sense where you will not be blessed. No blessings will follow you. Praise the Lord, everybody. But I want to celebrate with the matters of Calvary Temple. If you're too high, come down. Jesus is right, not at the top of the hill, but he's right at the bottom. Because to be down from the hill could speak discouragement. But Jesus came and he said, I am right at the bottom. The crowd that was weeping, but there's a crowd that was not weeping. There's a crowd that was coming with a full assurance. And this crowd was saying that Jesus is here now. He's here now. Touch somebody and tell you he's here now. Stop worry, he's here now. Touch somebody and say stop fret, he's here now. I don't care what you're going through, he is here now. And if Jesus said I'm here right now, he's not going to just be there, but he's a God of action. He's going to say to you, stop crying, wipe your tears and dry your eyes, because what you have seen yesterday, I'm going to flip the script in your life. I'm going to bring the problem back to life. Stop crying. Sister Reed, stop crying. Lift your hands. Lift both hands. Don't cry. Don't cry. Jesus said to tell you, stop crying. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Every mother that have been crying, stop crying. Stop the crying. God is about to turn it around for you. If you turn it around for this woman, we never know anything about the city of Nain. until there was somebody, until Jesus showed up at the gate of Maine. We never heard anything about the city. We knew about the city all because Jesus turned up. The devil know you, but he's gonna know more about you because Jesus come by your rescue. Clap your hands of victory. The greatest gift for this mother was to receive back her son to life. What a Mother's Day gift. What a Mother's Day gift. What a Mother's Day gift. She received back her son that was dead to life. All her discouragement that was shattered, the hopeless that she felt, oh, God turned into hope. Can you imagine, Sister Parry? Can you imagine church Calvary Temple when their hope was all gone? But Jesus came on the scene and he took that which was hopeless and he gave it hope. Every mother in this house, I don't know what you're going through, but I want to whisper to you now, oh God Almighty, that hope is back. God said to tell you, when you feel like there was hopelessness, I have come to give you hope. Smile. Mothers, stand. And some mothers are still sitting. Stand. Stand, mothers. In this season, you can't afford to be lazy. You can't afford to be lazy in this season. There's a crowd that is celebrating and is mourning. But there's another crowd that speak life. Can I ask a question before I close? Which crowd are you representing? Can I ask a question? Which crowd are you of? One crowd speaks of death, mourning. But there was a crowd, one crowd was dark. One crowd was in darkness. But there was a crowd that clashed with a crowd that was in darkness. Could you imagine if this side is in light and this side is in darkness, and all of us join together? They're gonna be there with darkness. It's gonna vanish, and they're gonna be light. Matters. Which crowd are you representing today? Are you representing the crowd that speak, that is mourning, the crowd that speak death? But there's a crowd that speak life. Arise, boy, arise, arise. The Bible said he arise and he give, and the mother give the mother to him. Could you imagine when all your hope were gone, Brother Dixon? When all your hope were gone, Minister Jeremy, but here come Jesus. Take back your baby. Somebody need to take back your baby. Some of your baby have gone to the world. Some of your baby have mashed up. Can I preach? Some of your baby has on a way to death. Some of your baby are going to be buried before you if they don't turn to God. But Jesus turned upon the seed and said, hold back your child. I'm going to make an unconventional altar call. I'm going to invite every mother who have a child out there in the world to come. Your child is not saved, come. You have a child that is not saved, come. Come. You have a child that is not saved. I'm talking about the babies. I'm just talking about a grown, of-age child that is not saved. Spread out. Ilamakosha. Zoom in, Brother Mark. Zoom in on them. Hakosha. I want to let you know. I see this with much respect and much. But there shouldn't be any dry eyes right here now. For those who have a mother, a child that is in sin, you should be weeping for that child. Close your eyes. Get your mind on God. Think about your child. Think about where your child is at this moment. He's about to raise him. You're at the bottom of the hill right now, but Jesus is an on-time God. He's closing our Koshada right now on your child. As you bow your heads, I want you to call your children's name or your child's name to God. Tell him to bring him back. Some of you are backslidden child. Some of them who have not yet known Jesus. But I want you right now, right where you are, to intercede for your children. Intercede for your child. Cry out because hell is real. Some of them are out of their mind. Except the Lord intervene, it's going to be catastrophic. Some of you are going to come back like this woman, weeping with your child in a casket. If you don't weep for your child, weep. Bow your heads and cry. Think about the crossroad where your child is at. Think about the problem that your child is in. Think about the place that your child is heading. Think about where your children are heading. But there is hope. You walk to these altars. You walk to these altars with hope that God is about to flip the script. If you will call on God right now, if you'll pray and say, God, bring back child, bring back Bobby, bring back Kevin, bring back Mark, bring back, oh God, bring back my child, bring back Grace, bring back Grace, Shadaba, bring back Bev, come on, weep. Help his son. Jesus, to tell you, Sister Martin, he's here now. Come on, lift your hands. He's here now. I am a Sataba. Right now, he's saying to you, I am here now. I am here now. You can stop crying now. I am here. Restoration is coming. Restoration is coming. Restoration is coming, Sister Walters. Stop crying. Restoration is coming now, Sister Parry. Hope is coming. Hope is coming. Hope is coming. As we close today, there is hope. Mother, you are special. You brought great joy to the world. I thank God for you. Let's stand, everybody. I thank God for our mothers. Stretch your hands towards our mothers. Right where you are, stretch your hands towards the mothers. Pray for them right now. Pray their strength. Some of them are discouraged by the way they have been treated by the child that they have brought for 9 months. Many of them are in distress. Many of them are having some dark days in their home by the very child that they have birthed, the very child that they have brought on this land. Many of them have in pain in their stomach. Many of them, praise God, can't face their own child. The child that they have brought for 9 months in their belly. It's trouble, but I pray for you right now that your strength will not fail in this season. Lift your hands, mothers. Lift your hands. I pray for you now. I pray for you. I pray for you now. I pray your strength. I pray right now. I pray strength in you. Sister Reed, I pray strength in you. Don't fail in this season, Sister Reed. God is going to work it out. It's not been too long, but he's going to work it out. I pray for your mind. I pray that every dagger that the enemy has thrown at your mind, there's a time for a break. There's a break in your mind. Open up, God. Touch this woman, God. You see her grief. You see her turbulence. But open up for her right now. Hope is coming, Sister Lidge. Lift your hands. Hope is coming, Sister Lidge. Hope is coming. It's going to bring, it's going to do it for you. I say it's going to do it for you. It's going to do it for you, Sister Parry. It's going to do it for you. Lift your hands. God is going to do it for you. Remember these words. Remember these words. Stop crying. He's going to do it for you. He's going to do it for you. No more you're in pain and in agony. He's going to fix it for you. Sing, Minister Jubin. Sing for your mother.
Sister Riley to play. God will work it out. God will work it out. One thing I know. One thing I found. That God will work it out. God will work it out. just lift your hands and thank him in faith? Thank him in anticipation that he's going to work it out. If you believe that you're a mother, you believe God is working it out, just lift your hands as you sing it 2 more times in faith, 2 more times in anticipation. God, you're working it out. God, you're working it out. One thing I know. One thing I'm sure of. God will work it out. One last time. God, you're working it out. God will work it out. Oh, hallelujah. One thing I know. One thing I found. That God will work it out. So let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. God has spoken. God has spoken. So let the church. So let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. God has spoken. So let the church. So let the church say amen. We are going to bring our service to its close, but I'm told that there is a prayer request. You want to say more? Kevon. Kevon Thomas. Is the mother of Kevon here? Is a relative of Kevon here? That's you? Okay. Hallelujah. This young man is asking for prayer. Won't you just stretch your hands to him, everyone? Lord Jesus, the author and the finisher, the Alpha and the Omega, the one who is all powerful, the one who is omnipresent, the one who is infallible. God, we present this young man to you. You know him by name. You created him, Lord God Almighty, for a purpose. I don't know what the affliction is, what the situation is, but you know, God. I pray right now that you will touch him from the crown of his very head to the very sole of his feet. Lord, shift whatever it is, God, that is confronting him, whatever the situation is that is bombarding him, in the name of Jesus. Lord, we pray that there will be resolution. We pray that there will be resolve in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Let him know that because he prayed, because he asked for prayer, Lord God, that you are a prayer answering God, that you have ministered, you have answered, because you're not like Baal. You're not far away, oh God. You're not distant. You're not deaf. You are a God that can be touched with the feelings of our infirmities. Touch him by your nail-scarred hands. Minister to every need that he has right now, Father. In the name of Jesus, I declare healing. I declare deliverance. I declare restoration upon him right now in the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And we say that whatever is his request, God, that you have answered. You have given him the desire of his heart according to your will. In Jesus' mighty name, amen and amen. Say amen. For God has spoken.
God has spoken.
For God has spoken. God has spoken. For God has spoken.
God has spoken.
For God has spoken. God has
spoken.
Let the church, let the church say amen. Oh, could we just lift our hands and praise him? I don't think, Pastor Jermaine, will service be held tonight? There will be no service tonight. You have the time off to share with your family. Let's just lift our hands. Huh? Pastor wants to anoint the mothers. So if you're a mother, just come to be anointed before you go. Those who have not yet been anointed, if you are anointed already, then you don't need to come. The church say amen.
Let the church say amen.
Amen, amen.
Let the church say amen.
Let the church.
Let the church say amen.
Well, God has spoken.
God has spoken.
Let the church.
Let the church say
Amen, amen. God has spoken. So let the
church say
sweet will of God still fold me closer. I am wholly lost in thee. Sweet